Raising a kid alone is hard enough, but trying to do it while completely avoiding toxic romance, that is Tuko's absolute priority. Meet Tuko, a proud single mother who has officially sworn off men. Her family keeps pressuring her to find a partner, but she's convinced that she and her adorable daughter Koto-chan are perfectly fine on their own. But life has a funny way of crashing through your boundaries. On a frantic morning run to get Koto-chan to the bathroom before work, Tuko accidentally runs into him. A chaotic, beautiful mess of a guy passing out on a park bench at 8 in the morning. And little does Tuko know, her carefully structured life is about to get completely turned upside down. The encounter is brief. The mystery guy alerts Tuko that she dropped something from her bag. He seems half dead, slurring his words on a park bench while another girl hovers nearby. Tuko thanks him, but internally the single mom alarm bells are ringing at maximum volume. Who is actively lounging around a public park at 8 a.m.? She immediately assumes he's a deadbeat, irresponsible college student. Koto-chan, however, is absolutely charmed. She thinks the mysterious benchwarmer looks exactly like Ryuga-kun, her favorite hero from the morning TV show Nin Nin Riders. Tuko brushes it off, confident she'll never see this slacker again. Later that evening, Tuko is returning home from work, walking down her apartment hallway, only to bear witness to a full-blown passionate makeout session right in the corridor. And guess who it is? Yep, the park bench guy. Not only does he live right next door, but he is currently with a completely different girl than the one from this morning. Bro is a player. He spots them and casually says, "Oh, you're from this morning." When Tuko asks if the girl he was just kissing is his girlfriend, he gives the ultimate red flag response. Yeah, a friend. We were just drinking and stuff. I missed class again. Is bro cooking chat? Disgusted by his casual attitude towards sleeping around and skipping school, Tuko doesn't hold back. She snaps, ordering him to go to class if he's actually a student, before grabbing Koto-chan and storming off, completely labeling her neighbor as absolute trash. She's spitting straight facts. But our mystery neighbor isn't even offended. In fact, as he listens to Tuko slam her door, he actually smiles. He finds her fierce attitude incredibly refreshing. But while he's laughing it off, Tuko is heading into a much harsher reality. Bro's low-key a freak. The next day at work, the funny completely vanishes. We see the real weight Tuko carries. She is working a demanding office job, exhausted, suffering from severe period cramps, and masking her pain just to keep up. And to make matters worse, the office gossip mill is working overtime. Behind her back, her co-workers are whispering about her status as a single mother. They label working mums as uncommon, and openly complain about people who half-ass their career because of their kids. Bitches be tripping. The toxicity triggers something fierce inside Tuko. She absolutely refuses to be a stereotype. Crushing a snack wrapper in her fist, she vows that she will never use her child as an excuse. She locks the fuck in with her hyper-focused energy, typing like a maniac to finish every single piece of data perfectly. She slams her finished records on her boss's desk and bolts out the door. It's a frantic, exhausting race against the clock, sprinting through the streets to make it to daycare before closing. She arrives completely drenched in sweat, gasping for air, apologizing profusely to her daughter. "You go, mama." And right there, like family happiness, NTR. Tuko watches another little boy run happily into the arms of his father. She witnesses a complete, unbroken family choosing where to eat dinner together. A simple luxury she can never provide for her own child. The guilt is paralyzing. But just as Tuko's heart is breaking, little Koto-chan looks up at her with pure, unconditional love. She wraps her arms around her mom and says the words Tuko desperately needed to hear. Koto-chan wants to be with mommy forever. What a precious little girl. Holding her daughter tight, Tuko promises they will be together forever. But as they walk home, she strictly forbids Koto-chan from ever playing with the chaotic guy next door. He is a bad influence, plain and simple, and she wants him nowhere near her family. Fair, to be honest. But trying to do everything alone means stretching yourself thin. That night is a complete disaster. Tuko burns the curry, handles a chaotic dinner tantrum, and sits at her laptop running on zero sleep, trying to push through extra corporate work. Deep in the night, the ghosts of her past loom large. We learn the root of her cynicism. She was deeply burned by a man before, left to raise Koto-chan entirely on her own. She repeats her absolute mantra. Relying on others only leads to misery. Romance is a trap. She will stick with Koto-chan, and only Koto-chan. Damn. But early the next morning, the exhaustion catches up. Tuko oversleeps. Panic sets in as she violently rushes Koto-chan through her morning routine, skipping breakfast entirely and sprinting out the front door in a desperate bid to not be late for work. But her body finally gives out. Sudden nausea waves crash over her, her vision blurs, and right outside her apartment door, Tuko collapses. She falls face first onto the cold floor, losing consciousness while a terrified little Koto-chan stands over her, crying out for her mommy. At that exact second, the neighbor is walking down the hall, coming home from a breakfast run with yet another girl. He's completely relaxed, until a faint, desperate cry of, "Mommy, wake up," echoes down the corridor. His casual demeanor instantly vanishes. Without a second thought, he turns to his date, shoves the food into her hands, and tells her to get lost. He sprints down the hallway, bursting through Tuko's open doorway to find her completely unresponsive on the floor, with Koto-chan sobbing. As he kneels down to help her, Tuko's stubborn walls are still up. Even half-conscious, she pushes his hand away, whispering, "Stop. I won't rely on men." But the neighbor completely snaps. His face twists into an expression of pure, unadulterated fury. He grabs her, shouting the words that shatter her pride. "What are you even saying right now? Look at your daughter. Koto-chan is crying." Despite her weak protests, the neighbor doesn't leave her on the floor. He lifts her completely into his arms, ignoring her stubborn pride, and carries her back into the safety of her own apartment while a terrified little Koto-chan keeps sobbing at their side. When Tuko finally opens her eyes, the chaotic noise of the hallway is gone. She's tucked safely into her own bed, her vision blurry, still hearing the distant fading echoes of her daughter's tears. As she fully regains consciousness, she overhears a voice in the next room. It's him. Our mystery guy is actively on the phone with her employer, calmly explaining that she fainted and will be taking a much-needed sick day. He then turns his attention to Koto-chan, gently patting her head and telling her she did a great job looking after her mom. Honestly, player-kun. Weakly sitting up, Tuko walks into her kitchen and stops dead in her tracks. The sink is clean, and sitting on the table is a perfectly prepared, beautiful meal, complete with a cute character face drawn specifically to make Koto-chan happy. The neighbor casually mentions that he has a little sister, so he understands the struggle. But as Tuko starts weeping and apologizing for her vulnerability, her deep-seated isolation slips out. "I don't have anyone I can rely on." And here he says something that low-key changes Tuko's whole outlook. He looks her dead in the eye with a gentle smile and says, "If you rely on a random guy like me, it shouldn't make much of a difference, right? Rather, you don't even care about a college drunk like." He completely turns her logic on its head. He owns the label she gave him, essentially telling her, "If all men are trash, then use me like an object to make your life easier." There's zero pressure, zero romantic expectation, just pure, unfiltered relief. Okay, he is cooking chat. He introduces himself properly as Kusunaga Yuki, reminds her to visit a doctor later, and casually heads out the door, leaving the apartment just as quickly as he disrupted it. Left alone with her daughter, Koto-chan happily digs into the food, cheering about how yummy it is and how Yuki-kun actually made the special meal she asked for. Tuko slowly, and the moment the food hits her tongue, the floodgates completely burst. The walls she built up over years of heartbreak, the corporate sexism, the exhausting guilt of trying to be a flawless single parent, it all collapses. Tuko breaks down into heavy, sobbing tears of pure relief. Because for the first time in a very long time, someone actually looked after her. Sometime later, Tuko decides she can't just let the favor slide. Telling herself that even trash deserves basic common courtesy, she prepares a formal thank you gift package, firmly holds Koto-chan's hand, and nervously rings his doorbell. Her heart is absolutely pounding as the door clicks open. Yuki peeks out, completely surprised, and smiles warmly when he realizes she brought him a gift. He genuinely thanks her, clearly thrilled about the gesture. But the polite neighborly interaction is hilariously short-lived. The absolute second Yuki realizes the gift box contains high-quality meat, he turns right around, singing a cheerful song about dinner, and disappears back into his apartment, slamming the door shut. Tuko is left standing in the hallway, completely stunned by how fast he vanished. Before they leave, little Koto-chan steps up to the door and shouts with all her might, "Yuki-kun, the omurishi you made for me was yummy. Thanks for helping Mommy." On the other side of the door, Yuki catches his breath, a soft blush hitting his cheeks as he quietly answers, "Sure." Walking away, Tuko watches her daughter's proud little face. The overwhelming weight she's been carrying feels just a tiny bit lighter. She smiles, pulls Koto-chan into a tight, warm embrace, and feels a profound sense of peace. Maybe, just maybe, things are going to turn out okay. But that peaceful silence is violently shattered. A sudden, aggressive bang echoes from right inside Yuki's apartment. Tuko stops dead in her tracks, her eyes widening in confusion. Is that coming from his room? Suddenly, a chaotic, violent crash echoes through the wall, accompanied by a muffled, terrifyingly aggressive voice screaming, "You fucker! I'm going to fucking kill you!" Tuko stands completely frozen, trembling in absolute horror as the sounds of a violent struggle shake the apartment complex. Holy crud!